This is the Surly Grognards for July 17th, 2017. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing all right.
Most excellent. So, we spent some time we spent a little bit of time this evening trying to decide what we're going to do for our show tonight. I went around and looked at some of the possible sort of suggestions we've gotten. None really stood out for tonight, just sort of I wanted to focus on something sort of gaming related for once. The actual putative, idea of the show.
The thing we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there are a couple of suggestions which we almost certainly will come back to at some point. There's an excellent one where we talked a little bit about Dune and commented that if we really want to talk about Dune, it would probably take us an entire episode. We have at least one person saying, please do that, and we'll probably do that at some point.
Yes.
But just not
probably
tonight.
After I reread Dune. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I probably will reread
I suppose
Dune.
you could always rewatch the Lynch movie, because that's a faithful adaptation.
It might be worth watching the Lynch movie and reading the book before doing an episode on Dune.
You know what? That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah. However, so on Saturday night after Eric, Gav, and I finish up watching our the anime for the week, which we do for setting up for the 3-minute anime podcast, Eric and I started riffing on Thor and Loki.
Yes.
And it was kind of funny. And
Dude,
that got
I lost the thing.
We'll get to that. And it got me thinking about using, the Norse gods, for example, in a tabletop game. And then that got me further thinking, well, we really haven't talked. We've talked a little bit about the various, pantheons from various things and using them in various games and such occasionally, but really sort of in passing. I thought it might be worth devoting an episode to sort of talking about using real-world mythology and religion and pantheons in a tabletop game setting. So yeah. So it's going to be... all right. First off, I want to preface all of this by saying, I think any religion that we've seen that I can think of can serve as a source for an interesting source for a sort of for use in a tabletop game. I think I'm not I'm not talking about so when I use the term mythology, I'm not intentionally using it as a way to demean the religions or to say that they aren't real. I'm personally agnostic / atheist. That said,
yeah, I'm going to use the phrase Christian mythology with no malice. Just seriously, read some. It's just the easiest way to get across what we're talking about.
Right, exactly.
There's no malice behind it. Personally, I'm hopeful atheist. So yeah. It's just an easy shorthand. We're not trying to piss people off.
And since we're
trust us, we could if we wanted to.
Oh lordy, if we really want to dive into it, we could be very, very offensive if we wanted to. We don't want to be.
So we don't.
And I will also say,
on the internet, we don't want to add to them.
Right. Also, I want to also say, we might get things wrong about various pantheons and various religions and such. We're not trying to, but neither of us are theologians.
Neither of us are theologians. Neither of us have doctorates in mythology or folklore. I really just sort of dabble in such things when they come up.
Right. And we both have sort of the areas we focused a bit more on than the other.
I am such a Eurocentric twat when it comes to mythology.
Yes, I mostly am also. I know a little bit about, Asia and Assyria, but not that much.
Yeah, a little bit of Assyria because Gilgamesh.
Yep.
A little bit of the Caribbean because there's some cool shit coming out of the Caribbean. That's about it.
Yeah, I know a little bit about Egypt and...
Oh, yeah, Egypt.
Right.
Everyone knows a little bit about Egypt.
Right. But that sort of ties
and probably
in...
has it wrong because...
Yes. And I know...
Because we've all seen Stargate.
Right. which totally is totally
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah, that's totally accurate, right?
Yeah, no. So at any rate, yeah. As a general rule, I think most of the stuff that we sort of when you're looking at using this stuff in tabletop role playing games, it tends to get pigeonholed into fantasy games. Uh,
Yes.
Largely due to the fact that in fantasy games, most fantasy games, religion's a big part of them. Just
Right.
going right back to D&D.
There's a whole like vital class called cleric, and does not mean he keeps records on the wheat all day.
Right. No, they're a priest.
He's part of the clergy.
Yeah, they're part of the clergy, and he is backed up by actual divine power.
Yes. Like there is no generally in a fantasy game that gods are real, they will smite you for being an atheist. Look
Well,
at you, Terry Pratchett.
One of my absolute favorite. I love Pratchett's use of them. But yeah, he uses his own pantheon, obviously. But yeah, so D&D invented its own pantheon, but like old school D&D, like back into like first edition AD&D, if you get like some of the monster manuals of Fiend Folio and all that stuff,
The Fiend Folio, yeah.
all those books, like the Monstrous Manual, the Monster Manual, not Monstrous. Monstrous was the big compilation for second edition AD&D.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. We're nerds.
Dude, I remember the Monster Manual like friggin' being in my like high school friggin' library.
Right.
And let's just say while I was there, it was always taken out.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, but like those books, like a lot of them have actual pantheons of real world religions. Like they had stuff on the Norse gods and the Greek gods.
Dude, Thor was statted. You could kill Thor.
All the gods were statted.
Yep.
All of them. I actually was when I was much younger. I joined a group that was ongoing, and basically one of the players, moved out of town. He's moved basically cross country, and I joined the group, and they were fairly high level. So the player who left was playing a cleric, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So I took over. I basically took over as a new cleric. And this was one of those sort of Monty Hallish games, and the DM had basically decided that he was getting kind of tired and was planning on changing things up. When the players decided that they wanted to challenge the gods, the rest of the group.
We'll become our own gods with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah, and they specifically decided to go after the Norse gods.
Well,
and
sure, they're the ones that aren't actually immortal.
And I was like, "This is a terrible idea, guys. Yeah, I know you all have buckets of broken magic items, but you're not as high level as you think you are." I used to GM. I'm like, and I'm the one who DMs a lot, so I'm sitting here going, "I know what the Norse gods are like." Okay, it's going to be much harder than you think. They're like, okay, well, they managed to somehow. I don't know how they convinced the DM to do this. They convinced him to basically allow them to fight the gods party versus one god at a time. And I started talking about it, and between me and I basically said, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not contributing during the fights or anything like that. I'm not fighting them. It's just a terrible idea. I want nothing to do with this. Also, my character was actually, I forget, he was actually a priest of one of the Norse gods, and I forget which one it was. I think I was a priest of Odin, if I remember correctly.
Berserker.
Well, no. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not fighting my gods. Sorry, no. And they managed.
This is the definition of hubris, guys.
Yeah, it would only been worse if I'd been a priest of a Greek god and we were going against the Greek gods.
Guys,
that is literally the definition.
Totally going to get me turned into like a sea slug by association.
So they managed to convince me to, and between that and negotiating with the DM who's in place of Odin, they were negotiating with Odin basically. Odin agreed to it because he thought this would be amusing, and also there were contingencies that would mean that they didn't if we didn't actually defeat all of them, the gods wouldn't be permanently killed or what have you. I don't remember this was ages and ages ago, but I'd be allowed to, I agreed that I would heal them up after the fight. And the wizard basically was like, after like he was like sort of gung ho at first, and then he heard my arguments, and he's like, this is a terrible idea. But they roped him into actually like contributing.
Right.
But he was protesting the whole time. This is important. So yeah, it went very well until we actually got to Odin. I mean, there were a few fights that were actually hard, like later ones. Like Thor was bad.
Okay.
Then
Right.
we got to Odin, and it was like, yep, all right, fine. It's now you versus me. We're gonna go fight in the ethereal plane now. Now, see, it turns out that when on the ethereal plane there are 8 of Odin
Of course.
in D&D.
Because 8 is a sacred number, of course.
Yep. Also, his spear gun gear doesn't miss, literally.
Right.
It's incapable of missing. And I wasn't healing during the fight.
Good night, guys.
Yeah.
Almost surprised Loki didn't pull some, like, bullshit there. Just like, yeah, you totally got me, and I did not just totally stab you in the back from this position here. Doesn't Blink a wonderful spell?
I don't remember how they beat Loki. Again, this is ages ago.
Right.
But yeah, so, and Odin basically at that point said, okay, fine, you've lost. Now I'm going to claim my prize. No, you're not dead. No, that's too easy. So he resurrected the entire party at level 1 and stripped them of their gear. Except the wizard. The wizard got to keep... The wizard and I got to keep, basically... I got to keep my levels and most of my gear, none of which was egregious because I was a new character.
Right.
And the wizard got to keep, basically, about half his levels. And the GM basically said, all right, here's what we're going to do. You are now all under a GS. I mean, he didn't have to put me under GS because I was like, yeah. Because Odin's like, you're going to do a whole bunch of quests for me. And yeah, you'll have time to build yourselves back up, etc., etc., etc. You'll be doing the easy stuff first. It'll be a little challenging because, but, you got these two.
So you're telling me I'm literally on a quest from God.
Yes.
Okay, I'm on board. Let's get the band back together.
We're on a mission from God. Yep.
500 miles to Chicago.
Full tank of gas, half pack of...
tank of gas. It's nighttime, and we're wearing shades.
Not quite. It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half pack of cigarette. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Yeah, I knew I fucked that up. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
It's one of the lines I've memorized. Just because it's awesome. But at any rate, so yeah, Hubris, thy name is most of the rest of the party.
Yeah. It's not even like you had a reason to go and challenge the gods. You're just
No,
like,
they were bored
one day. Let's go stab the gods.
That was literally what happened. And honestly, the DM got a lot better. Like, he actually he improved as a DM after that point. Like, most of it is he'd figured out ways he wanted to do things differently. Have the campaign not be quite as Monty Hallish, and and to the credit of the rest of the rest of the group sort of actually zenned with it after about a session or two of grumbling.
Right.
They actually kind of got into it. So it was actually pretty cool. The game didn't last that much longer. The DM eventually
just burned out, I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The group sort of came apart.
I mean, I can only imagine the only reason I allowed it is because we were on the verge of burnout. It's like, sure, I can get a few sessions out of this.
Yeah, basically. And, people change schools and such, so,
Right.
At any rate, so, yeah, that was not what I would like to call a particularly creative use of the gods, or interesting use of the gods, but, it's one of the sort of, issues with the fact that old D&D used to stat everything.
Yep.
Is, eventually players would consider, like, hey, no, we can go challenge the gods. Which, for really late D&D, is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Honestly.
The idea of being able to claim immortality and self-deification, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's being a chaos champion all over, but that's kind of cool.
I mean, like, really old D&D, like basic D&D, they had the basic set, expert set, I think after that was like companion and eventually got to Immortals was like the last one,
Mm.
the last sort of expansion thing that they did for basic D&D, where you were basically on god, like demigod levels at least. It's been a long time since I've looked at basic D&D, for obvious reasons. Uh,
It's not very good.
and, nah, in some ways it's actually arguably better than AD&D. In some ways,
Yeah,
it has the virtue of being simpler.
yeah, I guess.
But yeah, at any rate, so
It's not broken. It's advanced.
but yeah, so but again, like the D&D Monster Manual had like everything in there. Well, not everything, but
Oh
it
yeah,
had, as I said, it had the Norse gods, it had the Greek gods, it had a bunch of the Egyptian gods, it had the fucking Cthulhu mythos in there.
that was the Fiend Folio. That was the first
Yep.
printing of the Fiend Folio.
Yep.
And both. It also had Stormbringer, the sword from the
Yes,
Elric
it did.
saga.
Yep.
Those got pulled right quick.
Yeah, after the copyright claims, and trademarking and shit.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops. Sorry, Mr. Moorcock.
Sorry, Lovecraft Estate. I wouldn't have surprised me if they'd called what they called what are now called transfer were called Ensign there, and
Mm.
and the Tolkien Estate said ahem.
Guys. Oops. Yeah. Right. No, treants. That's what they are. Treants.
Totally different. At any rate, but yeah, in a fantasy game, the gods, are real, and they're there, and it can be very handy to if you're like coming up with your own sort of game world type thing, using actual pantheons from around the world can actually add a lot of sort of verisimilitude to the game, and
Sure.
also just gives you this host of published information that you can draw on to do creative stuff with.
Oh yeah, and in any kind of non-published fantasy world, I will definitely be drawing on real world stuff.
Yeah, sure.
The one exception being the one time we did AD&D. My friend Mike was running. Mike's a great game master. It's a shame it was AD&D. And I was playing the priest because we needed one, and I was like, I'm going to make up my own gods. He's like, okay, what do you think about? It's going to be the Nintendan Faith with a series of saints, like Link the Adventurer and Mario, the patron saint of the craftsman, and and everyone gave me dirty looks. But I took it very seriously while I was playing it, despite these things like Belmont the Slayer and his the patron saint of those that would the defender of the dead and scourge of the undead.
Cool.
So yeah, I did kind of draw real world stuff there, but it was funny. There was this whole running gag about the heretic Saganists.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I usually will end up if there's not like a published set part of published mythology with the setting, like say Iron Kingdoms or if you're doing Tolkien or like any number of fantasy games out there, I'll usually end up drawing on real world mythologies because I usually default to Norse because duh, that's my bag.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff out there for them, and honestly, there's enough sort of there's enough stuff that sort of almost contradicts itself within each sort of set of mythology that you can start doing your own interpretations too.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the great things about like playing anyone of a different religion is all that like how do you interpret all these like inherent contradictions in your sacred texts because they're always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've never played a Muslim character. I have played a Christian character.
Yep.
Played a Taoist once. Don't know anything about Taoism, but you know he was a bad priest, so just play the character. Also, he was a toad demon.
Right. Well, he was cursed.
Right, for being a bad priest. um, I don't know anything about African mythologies beyond Egypt, other than those that get mentions in other stuff. Usually Neil Gaiman's work, because Neil Gaiman and Mike Mignola's work. Mike Mignola only did like 1 or 2 issues of Hellboy in Africa, which is a little sad because Hellboy should beat up everybody's gods. But you like Mr. Anansi in American Gods.
Nancy, yeah.
Yeah, is a great, like, I have no idea what he's actually like in the mythology because I haven't bothered to look. But as a character in that book, he's amazing.
Right.
And apparently he's great in the series, too. I haven't actually seen it yet, though.
I haven't watched American Gods yet either. I've read the book ages ago, but not seen the series. It's been a long while since I've read it. Yeah, but yeah, I like it's just that there's so much to draw on there, and you can do so many interesting things with various pantheons. I've run and played in games set in Japan, so I know a little bit about the Japanese pantheon. I don't know much about Chinese mythology, so I've never really drawn on that.
Yeah, not same here. I don't know a lot about Chinese mythology beyond some of the wackier stuff. I know a little bit of Japanese mythology because, well, anime.
Yeah, and honestly, but there's a bunch of stuff that got published in, again, D&D. They're
the Oriental Adventures. I remember that.
Yeah, the looking back at it. Ooh, that's an interesting name choice.
Yeah, that's well done, guys. Well done.
Yeah, whatever. Given the time period, given when it was, I'm not like
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they called it something considerably worse that I could say. But
oh lordy, yes. But yeah, that Oriental Adventures was mostly Japan, though.
Yeah. Well, part of that I think is particularly in the 80s and 90s when a lot of this stuff got published was that Japan had a very good it still does have a very good working relationship with the U.S. There's a lot of cultural crossover there. And you've got like Kurosawa and like Satoshi Miki, who's a terrible example for a director. But there's a lot of Japanese cinema coming over. Meanwhile, from China, you pretty much just have the Hong Kong action flicks. And the rest of China does not want to deal with the U.S. because
at that time, yeah.
Right. Communists working really hard to suppress a lot of their own culture there.
Yep.
They seem to have gotten better about it. Not good, but better.
Yeah, but at any rate, but like at least we the two of us can talk reasonably confidently about specifically the Greek and Norse pantheons.
Yes, absolutely.
And they both those work quite well in a fantasy game.
Oh yeah, especially with using Greek, either one honestly, as both patrons and antagonists.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because those gods were dicks. I mean, the Norse gods not nearly as much as the Greek gods, because Jesus Christ, the Greek gods were a bunch of fucking psychopaths.
Yeah.
Except for Hades. As far as Greek gods go, Hades is stand-up duty. Really just wanted to be left alone in the underworld and do his job.
He was a bit of a creep. He was a bit creepy. The whole perception.
He was a creep, but his brother is like shifting rapist supreme. So.
I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, in comparison, he seems like a sweetheart, but the whole Persephone thing is a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Lord of the Underworld is not the big. He oversees he oversees Tartarus and the bits where where people who died and deserve punishment go, but he oversees the Elysian Fields too.
Yep.
Where the heroes who aren't quite good enough to go to Olympus go. It's
like, yeah, dude, I watch over the dead. That's my bag.
All of them.
The good and the bad. Also winter.
So yeah, Yeah, he's not as bad as he's portrayed in a lot of things. It's
Yeah, no, well, part of it is because people look at, oh, he's the god of death, he must be the bad guy.
right.
So no, the king of the gods is so totally your bad guy for this. Why are you not making Zeus the bad guy?
I mean, even if you don't want to make Zeus the bad guy, like if you want to like clean Zeus's image up a bit and make him less, rapey. Um, uh,
Sure, I mean you've got Ares, you've got Athena, you've got
hell, you don't have to go to the north to the gods themselves. You've got the Titans to work with.
yeah, it's true. Fucking Kronos, man. There's a dude.
Yeah, fuck him.
Baby. I do love eating baby.
I mean, they're all currently locked up in Tartarus. That doesn't mean they can't have negative influences on the world.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can go with.
Well, you could do a whole thing about like Titan cults.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean,
Or
and like
even
this,
be a Titan cultist. It's like
yeah.
they were imprisoned unjustly.
uh,
Like, yeah, Kronos is a jerk, but what about the other guys? They're just locked up there
what
for...
about what about fucking Prometheus?
Yeah, what about Prometheus? Just suddenly have images of like these Titan cultists like protesting at the foot of Olympus, and signs that said like Prometheus did nothing wrong, free Prometheus.
Which Hercules eventually does.
Yes.
Because Heracles,
I miss being able to smoke in bars. So I don't know if I've told the stream this story as a brief tangent, but back when you could smoke in bars, I had a bit of a litmus test for when I was, hitting on a girl. I'd walk up to them with my pipe and I'd be like, could you be my Prometheus? And if they looked at me blankly, they'd, okay, they don't know Norse mythology, that's a strike against them. Whatever. Okay. Greek mythology. It was the most common mythology.
yes.
If they produce a letter, excellent. I can strike up a conversation about at least that with them. And then there was the one girl who looked at me dead in the eye and said, you want me to peck out your liver? Or you want to peck out my liver? And I was like, you're the only person that's ever done that. And then her boyfriend walked up. So, yeah.
No, I just wanted to light.
So, you're awesome.
Nice. Yeah, but yeah, like, and yeah. So the Greek gods are really they're fascinating, and you've got some of the lesser known ones like make really good patron gods for like D&D style clerics, like Hestia or Hephaestus.
Oh yeah. Hephaestus is a great one for that, or Hecate for the villains, or even just a less than stellar reputation cleric.
Or like Apollo would be another good one.
You'll never catch me worshiping the sun.
No, I'm just saying. Mercury wouldn't be not Mercury.
Hermes.
Hermes. Mercury's the Roman version.
Right.
The Roman pantheon is basically
the Romans work hard to clean up the Greek pantheon.
Yeah, it's a very similar pantheon, but there are differences, even with the name, even ignoring the name changes. Like Jupiter is nowhere near as bad as Zeus. Let's just say that.
Yep.
Let's just go right there. Neither's Juno. It's Juno, right?
Juno is Roman and Hera is Greek.
I was just trying to remember if Juno was yeah. Mars is much less
idiotic.
Ares is so very Ares. But the Greeks have two war gods.
So what was really funny is I have always thought Ares ran at the Battle of Troy because someone stabbed him in the foot and he got a boo-boo and ran off.
It's not exactly right.
It's not exactly right because someone was actually reading the Odyssey. It was like, no, he got stabbed in the balls.
Yeah.
she's like, no, I just read that passage. Here, blah 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 blah, and he was struck below the navel and doubled over and fled. Yeah, he totally got stabbed in the balls. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would have ran too. Okay, fair enough.
Fair play to Ares. He's still not the, not the epitome of war gods in a lot of ways, but,
No. Ares is much more about the shifting fortunes of war than the actual martial discipline of war.
Yeah,
No, not even that's too kind. He's so very Ares.
Right. Yeah. But they're great, and the Norse gods are fantastic for in the right setting. Again,
Yeah, you're not going to see a lot of people playing worshiping Thor in the Amazon, for example,
yeah,
or in the Mongol steppes.
yeah,
Slightly more likely in the Mongol steppes. Thinking about it,
yeah,
I could totally see like that carrying over the couple guys from the Mongols because they were fucking everywhere.
Yes, they were. They went everywhere.
Them and the Vikings, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've actually remember seeing some games that delved into contemporary religion as a setting. Like
sure.
I remember years ago there was something called a nominee, where you're basically playing either an angel or demon. It was your choice, expelled from the celestial realms. And it went through and it listed all the archangels and all the demons and their relationship with their with both God and Lucifer, and how they could be your patrons. And no, you do not want Lucifer for your patron. Like, yes, technically you can, but no, you don't.
Pick someone else. Yeah.
I don't remember anything about the system, but I thought it was kind of an interesting, unvarnished view of the two of the host of heaven, for all intents and purposes.
Right. No, and I mean, like, if you don't want to go too whole hog into using Christianity or directly, I mean, you want to use say you want to base something around Christianity for reasons, and there's so much to draw on from the Bible and the associated texts that I can totally understand why.
So many saints. So many saints.
And the angels and the archangels can be very interesting patrons also.
Yep. And yeah, just so much there. Like, or even just being a lay priest and just trying to be good at being a priest.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, no, yeah, it's there's a lot of really interesting stuff you can do with that. And and honestly, if you want to draw another active religion currently that has a lot of mythology to draw on, a lot of interesting texts, and a lot of really interesting stories to pull stuff from. Like, go do some research on the Hindus. Seriously,
I was going to say that if you weren't going to. Like, yeah, the Hindus have a lot of really cool stuff, like Vishnu and Ganesh and Krishna and fucking Shiva and Kali, all of whom are very different people. Like they might get mixed up in popular culture, but they are all very different people. Like, Shiva and Kali are two entirely different entities.
Well, yeah, Kali, Shiva is both a creator and a destroyer, is like one of the big things. And you got Ganesh and oh god, is it Brahma?
Brahma, yes. Brahma.
Yeah, Brahma.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the exact same dude. You know what's funny? I just finished reading Lord of Light also.
Yes. Well, that is one of the things I was going to go to when we talked about Hinduism, is you can actually start using some of this shit in sci-fi games too.
Yep.
Seriously, if you have not read Roger Zelazny's Lord of Light, go find it, read it. It's fucking amazing.
Some of it comes like the end game comes kind of completely out of nowhere, honestly.
Yeah, but it works still.
Yeah, like what is it? Nami the Black?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
Nami
it's
the Black, who turned out was a freaking lunatic Christian that wanted to convert the world.
yeah. It's a really interesting story, and
Yeah,
it's also nonlinear. Uh,
yeah. It does a lot of time skipping.
it goes
Um,
back to like talk about things that happened before, etc. And it's got this
but
really
it still leaves a lot of really interesting questions for you to
yep.
think over because, like, okay, how did all this come to be? Clearly, your lost colony world without with a lot of technological regression, but the gods still have all the tech, but even they're kind of leery about using it. And what happened?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's also not just it's not just about Hinduism. It's also you've got
Sure,
Nami the Black. Who's basically,
Buddhism comes up.
yes, because it's basically the Bodhisattva. I mean,
Yep.
it's basically about the enlightenment of the Buddha.
Yes. Except I love that the Buddha turned out just to be one of Kali's assassins. So no, he was totally the Buddha. You already he was the Buddha, not me. I was totally bullshitting my whole way through this. He achieved actual enlightenment.
It's so good. Seriously, Lord of Light is a phenomenal book. It's honestly, I think as an individual book, it is Zelazny's best work.
I think you're probably right. I mean, you've got the Chronicles of Amber, but those are technically what, like 3 or 4 books?
5 books.
5 books, yeah.
Well,
And
if you want to
usually
include,
packaged as one big tome, at least that I've seen.
it's technically 5 novellas. I think is the best way
Right.
to describe it. Each one's about 200, 210 pages, 220 maybe. You could also argue that there's also the second Chronicle of Amber, which is nowhere near as good.
Right.
And he's got a couple other good books too. Like Jack of Shadows is really good. Also,
I haven't read Jack of Shadows.
it's good. It's worth checking out. But yeah, Lord of Light's amazing. It is so unlike almost anything else I've read.
Yeah, I will totally agree with that. It is not unlike a lot of. I've read a few other things that were clearly trying to emulate it, but weren't very good.
Yeah. But it's a really interesting blending of science fiction and religion.
Mysticism,
Or mysticism,
and
is a better way to put it, yeah. And it's really interesting. And you could do there's some really interesting stuff there you could draw on for a game world.
Oh, easily. Like, you could just lift that whole hog, and that would be fine.
Yeah, because
yeah.
the Hindu pantheon, they're all the crew of the colony ship
Yep.
who've hung on to their tech, and so they all have these sort of their own little sort of aspect devices that allow them to
Yeah, but somehow they're also mutants in that these aspects are in fact inherent in them, even when they body jump.
Yep.
Like because one of the things is one of the ways to maintain their immortality is they'll just, when a body starts getting too old, they'll just go to a new one.
Right.
This is true for the general populace also.
Yeah, it's possible. They can hop into new clone bodies, basically.
Yep.
And sometimes some of the deities die, and sometimes they are like one of the other gods will take over their position. Like there's a new
yes.
Brahma at one point in the story.
Yep, because heaven cannot be without a Brahma.
Right. And
like they'll gods will be recruited from the general populace if their karma is good enough, and they have ways of measuring karma.
It's a really interesting story.
Like karma is something that is quantifiable in this world.
Yep.
And can be scientifically measured.
And they're native beings that end up becoming becoming the Rakshasa.
And they totally embrace that role too.
Yeah, they do.
Like, I am totally down with being your demons. That sounds awesome.
It's a really cool, and you could really seriously. That's a really interesting setting for a role-playing game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it helps codify in the setting, sort of codifies the Hindu caste system too. So it's like,
Yep.
which again is an interesting thing you can do with an RPG. You could leave that, you can embrace that, or you could sort of tone it down if you really want to. And I don't blame that. It allows you to you to have more sort of diversity in sort of castes, I guess is a best way to phrase it, I think.
Well, you could totally do like you do in like say Legend of the Five Rings. You have the one guy who's playing the untouchable, but which no one's allowed to talk to officially, but they can talk in thin air at.
Right. No, there are ways to do it. Obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's. I mean, so there's all of that, and it's a really interesting way you can start blending in. I mean, like you could do some really interesting stuff where you can combine science fiction and elements from fantasy, like like honestly, like a science fiction universe that actually has an active sort of religious aspect to it, even if they're like not like you're not drawing like powers from the gods. Like just having that the pantheons there and the religions there as a cultural touchstone is actually really interesting and important, I think.
No, I agree. You know what I hate to say, but you know what does a great job of mixing religion and mysticism with science fiction? 40K.
It does actually. I agree with you completely.
It does a great job of doing
Absolutely.
that. Like
for a dark universe, yes.
And yes, there are actual gods that you can draw power from. You do not want to worship these gods or draw power from them.
Yeah,
but like the whole thing with like the ecclesiarchy and the like almost Renaissance era church wishes it had the iron grasp on the populace that the ecclesiarchy in 40K does.
Yep.
Or the playing a tech priest.
I was going to say they're the machine cults too, though.
Yeah, the machine cults, who are technically heretics, but you need them to run shit.
Yeah, which totally didn't happen in the real world ever in Christian lands. Nope, not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah,
or even just like approaching it from the filthy space elf perspective, like the degree of virtualization in Craft World Eldar daily life, which doesn't get touched on much in the 40K in the available material, but is clearly hinted at there.
Right.
Or the complete lack thereof in the Dark Eldar daily life.
Yeah. It's actually really interesting. I agree. It's a fascinating universe. It's not my cup of tea, but it's a fascinating universe in a lot of ways.
And I played in 2 games set in it. One was I was I was an honest to goodness devoted Imperial soldier. Like I towed the party line. I had faith, despite the fact that I had a Chaos champion constantly whispering in my ear, "Fuck you." I did eventually shoot him dead in a bar.
Yep.
And I've also played an orc freebooter in a different game, which was not nearly as successful. Largely because everyone was pulling in different directions, and I really just wanted to play someone's heavy. I totally wanted to do like the big heavy, and I was like, okay, so they have to earn it, so they need to earn it. They need to earn me being their heavy, and no one wanted to fucking earn it.
It's like, well, I'm the captain now.
I have a character arc here, guys. Please help me.
I guess I'm the captain now.
Oh, that would have gone over well.
Yeah, and the Necrons, yeah, they killed most of their gods, yep.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, because originally the Necrons were, in fact, like this eldritch terror from the dawn of creation, and their gods were just now starting to wake back up after, and which is what was causing them to stir. And I thought that was really cool. And then Matt Ward happened.
Yeah, well, Matt Ward. so yeah, there's a lot of ways you can combine that, and like again, almost any of the real world pantheons you want to draw on them and use them could do really interesting stuff. Like
Oh,
we
absolutely.
touched on like how the Hindu like how the Hindu pantheon was used in Lord of Light, and you could draw on that like
Well, in the Dresden Files, like the gods are real, all of them.
yep.
Um,
Oh no, that's a
and
yeah. Go ahead.
and it, Harry sort of stumbles into meeting a few of them, including the like fairy queens, which are on their level and whatnot. And great series of books. I highly suggest reading them. But like he sort of like stumbles into meeting Odin, and then fumbles his way into like having a conversation with Harry with Hades, and like pals around with an actual goddamn blessed Knight of the Cross. Um, makes Develops a personal enmity with an actual goddamn fallen angel.
Right? Yeah, sure.
And the whole time he's dealing with vampires and ghouls and general fantasy fuckery, which is hiding in the shadows of modern day Chicago.
Right. No, I mean you could do really interesting stuff in almost any setting where it's like yeah, all the gods are real. No, no, all of them are real.
Yeah, which is the premise behind American Gods.
Yeah, right, exactly. Uh, and it's just that the ones who are quote in charge are the ones that currently are getting the most worshippers.
Yep.
The most and faith is almost a currency amongst the gods to a certain degree.
Again, American Gods. I distinctly remember a bit a conversation between two gods. I forget who, in American Gods, where they're like, "Fucking Jesus, that guy could fall head first into a pool of shit and come out smelling like roses." That's okay. You know what I heard? Can't even get a cab in Afghanistan.
Oh God. But yeah, like it's really like, and so yeah, like sci-fi settings, you could definitely use almost any of the pantheons. I
Yep.
think some of them work a little bit better than others. Uh, I'm not sure how well the Greek pantheon would work in that. The Roman versions would work better, I think.
Yes.
Um,
Well,
you know,
again, the Romans worked hard to clean them up from
yes,
the venal savages that the Greeks worshipped.
yeah, the Egyptian pantheon would work. I
Oh yeah.
no idea why I say that. Stargate didn't get them 100% right, but but like seriously, like the Egyptian gods, like, and there are different ways you can interpret it. Like you could do the whole sort of the gods are not. There's so many different ways you can interpret it too. Like the gods are either they're extraplanar beings or they're aliens or whatever, or they're actually gods.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm thinking about it. But like it's just I think we should also touch a little bit for another sort of genre of game that we should probably talk about for this superhero games. I mean,
Yes.
fuck. I mean, just because you look at the Marvel universe and you've got Thor and Loki and Hercules, who's not a god but might as well be.
Right.
But that Hercules implies the other Greek gods.
Who are active participants in the DC universe.
Right. Yeah, just look at Wonder Woman.
Yep. Look at Wonder Woman.
um,
Look at Apollo trying to blast Superman with sunlight.
yeah, that doesn't go so well.
That was great. Yeah, and like, yeah, you've got Thor and Loki and at least Hercules in the Marvel universe. Plus, you have cosmic entities that may as well be gods, like the like Galactus and the what are they called?
The Eternals.
The Eternals, yes.
But yeah,
Or well, fucking Thanos.
well, yeah, right. Well, who's often referred to as a Titan.
Yes, the Mad Titan.
Titan.
Well, I think it's because he's from the Moon Titan, but
He is.
Yeah.
He is actually. That is in fact exactly where he's from. Because Jack Kirby was a madman.
Hell, look over on the DC, the whole New Gods thing.
Yeah,
Again,
right.
Jack Kirby being crazy.
And awesome, but crazy.
Yes.
But my point though, back to the real world pantheon stuff. I mean, like you could do some really interesting stuff with that in a superhero game. Yeah, like the when we were brainstorming that Supers World we came up with, we started pulling some stuff from Greek mythology in there heavily.
Yep.
With Atlantis and the Daedalus being like Daedalus being a real
Actually
thing,
immortal, yes.
and being like and the Lemurians and God, we threw so much weird shit together in that game. That concept, I like that one. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
But yeah,
Yeah, and why not just have all the gods be real? All of them. The
Yeah.
end.
And I mean, like,
particularly in a superhero game.
yeah, it's particularly a super game. Like hell, like the player character, like a god as a player character, it makes it perfectly fine. Again, Thor or Hercules. I mean, yeah, they're powerful, but like you're a superhero. You're a goddamn superhero. Of course, you're powerful.
Fucking Gilgamesh, or Gilgamesh's buddy. What's his name? His name I
Enku?
can never remember.
It's like Enkidu or something. Enkidu.
Akitu, yes.
Enkidu, yeah.
Play Akitu. It's like, aren't you supposed to be dead? It was apocryphal.
I got better. But like there's so many different interpretations of the gods that you could use as bases for your characters. I mean, I bet you could also sort of picture the confusion if you had like two players, like one of them, like one player is playing like Mercury and the other's playing Hermes, and like the two of them look at each other like the fuck.
Dude, you totally stole my shoes.
And like it's just like you could do sort of fun little sort of interpretations on them, like because again, you've got all these myths about them, but who's to say how accurate these myths are? They've traveled, they've been told and retold over ages, and Lord knows if you've ever played the game Telephone, you can see exactly how a simple sentence can change over just going around a circle of 20 people.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Like the Image comic book, Invincible, good comic book, which has this whole like own mythology built around it. But one of the characters, recurring side characters in it, is called the Immortal. He's this bearded guy who is immortal. He doesn't always remember all his lifetimes, but he remembers a lot of them. He was Abraham Lincoln. He was Charlemagne.
Interesting.
He might have been Jesus. He's not sure. He doesn't remember that far back.
That's great. But yeah, like back to what started this whole thing. Like I mentioned when Eric and I were doing our little we were just riffing on Thor and Loki. I mentioned just like that, like these versions of these two as superheroes in a campaign would be hilarious. Because you got the very not bright Thor, because Eric was going for the
very dumb, like some of the older translations for Norse mythology where Thor is dumber than a bag of bricks.
Right, and a very put upon Loki who's desperately trying to get out of this, but knows he can't because Odin won't let him.
How did this start out? Like, dude, I need your help. I lost the thing.
Wait, no, I'm not helping you, Thor. That never goes well.
I lost the thing.
Why are you asking me for help, Thor?
Because you're smarter than me, and I lost the thing. It's important I find the thing. The thing.
What thing, Thor? You lost. Be more specific.
The thing. That thing that does the thing.
What, your hammer? You lost your hammer?
No, I've got that right. So I've lost two things.
God damn it. And it spirals on from there. I mean, that's I just the two of those characters bickering in a quasi-friendly way and actually doing being superheroes. Also, again, honestly, you look at that and you're like again, you got the moments of looking like, wait, how the hell did I get roped into being a hero? What the hell? Oh, by Ymir's teeth, what just happened?
Loki, I found the thing. Good, so I can go home. No, this is a different thing.
What? Okay, we're gonna go talk to Odin. You'll explain you lost the thing, and he'll help you find it.
I'll get mad if he finds out I lost the thing,
And I care why?
because he'll be mad at you.
Why? Why would he be mad at me?
Because it's your fault.
How is it my fault?
Because I can't be trusted with important things, Loki. That's why you're around.
But I didn't give you the thing. What is? I don't even know what the thing is. What's happening here? At any rate,
So yeah, just like just imagine basically a superhero buddy cop show where those two gods fucking around like major metropolitan area of your choice. Stopping crime, looking for the thing, whatever the thing might be.
like I could easily envision Loki getting roped into a superhero team just to have somebody not a moron to talk to.
Yes.
You do realize the reason I joined this team is because you are one of the only people I've run into. I haven't hung around with Thor for as long as I have. I need someone who I can have an intelligent conversation with.
Yes, that's excellent. Could you hand me the thing?
I should just start Ragnarok.
Why are you giving me that look? Right there, I forget what it's called. The device.
I should start Ragnarok. I should just do it. I totally could. Yeah, your spanner thing here.
The forgetful super scientist being like, that's great. Could you hand me the thing? I need it for the thing. The device. I can't remember what it's called. It's right there next to you.
You can point at it. You know what it looks like. Okay, I can handle that. Okay, I don't have to end the world. Great. Here you go.
Oh, this is metric. I need Imperial.
I'm leaving now. At any rate,
Poor Loki. That would be great.
it would be. It'd be hilarious. As I said, I could actually see myself playing that version of Loki.
Loki pulls a ribbon. 20, that's awesome. 20 in the chat after hearing all this says Loki pulls a ribbon. Which for those who don't know, Fenris, the wolf that will eat Odin basically, is bound up with a magic ribbon. So
yep. At any rate,
I like to think that Fenris just didn't thought the chains were all ugly, but they bound him up with a pretty ribbon with the bow, and he just doesn't want to tear the ribbon because it's nice looking.
That would be different.
Well, it's pretty. Shut up. Giant world-eating wolves can like nice things.
Yeah. Yeah, but like the Norse gods, that's just the one example of something. Like some of the Greek heroes are great areas to mine for superhero characters, or for just heroic characters in a fantasy game too. I mean,
yeah, just
there's so many options
based on Ajax.
Ajax or Odysseus. If you want
oh, fucking Odysseus, yeah.
Or
Homer.
Homer. Yeah,
I know Homer was a writer, but do the whole warrior poet thing.
Yeah, right, totally. Jason, dear Lord.
Yep.
Theseus would be great. They're all of them are. You can draw a lot of really interesting.
Hell, what's his fuck? The original bard.
Right.
Why can't I remember his name?
Starts with an O. Orpheus.
Orpheus. Yes, thank you. I wanted to say Oedipus, but I knew that was wrong. Really wrong.
No, Oedipus is the other. I think it's Orpheus. Let me double check. I'm going to double check that. I'm 90%. positive.
No, Oedipus is the.
No, I know Oedipus. I'm just making sure Orpheus
Yeah.
is correct. Yeah, Orpheus is correct. Yes.
Okay. Why can't I remember his girlfriend's name? Freaking Eurydice.
Eurydice. Yep.
I could remember that, but I couldn't remember him.
Huh.
And all she does is get dead and end up following him.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff you can do. Like, I mean, oh hell, like another example of using mythological heroes in a sort of a setting that you could turn into an RPG type thing. The Fate series, as much as as lamentable as a lot of the Fate series is.
Oh no,
anime...
the Fate series for anime is a great concept.
Yeah, exactly.
And I stand by Fate Zero, even though it fell apart at the end. Mainly because Ryder is fucking awesome.
Ryder is great. Like seriously, Alexander the Great as you're as a character in this sort of series. Like, you've got you can have like a group of players. Doing things similar to like the Fate series, where you've got half the group are playing the wizards and the other half are playing the heroes.
Yeah,
and like you've got like duos working together to do stuff. And that can be really
cool idea.
Yep, I think it's great. Or hell, just like as a a pair of characters for like hell, you could just do it in a superhero game. You could do something similar to that. Like the concept of having like Waver and Ryder working together in a superhero setting would be kind of awesome.
Yeah, I just suddenly had this image of Erwin Rommel showing up as a hero in the Fate series.
I could
just
see
them going, I've been dead for 50 years. That's all it takes.
I could so see Japan.
And I was on the wrong side. Did you see what my side was doing?
It's Japan, Eric.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, there's just so much stuff to mine from real mythology to pull into games.
And someone else gets patent.
God damn it. But yeah, no, seriously. Just thinking about it, was like, I'm like, there's so much stuff from like all the mythology that you can just pull into various games in different styles.
Oh yeah.
Just doing, as like you're mentioning, the Dresden Files, modern fantasy. You could do so much stuff with religion in that. It just
again, that like I said, it's a series where it's all real. It might not be exactly as you remember, as the stories say, but it's all real.
Right. I mean, hell, Hellboy does some of that too.
Yep.
Like
Hellboy does some great stuff where he's just out wandering around, stumbling across just general weirdness.
Yeah, absolutely. Like hell, you could pull some of the occasional weirdly forgotten, like despite being famous, weirdly forgotten heroes from various mythologies into various games, like Beowulf. Like, he almost never gets mentioned in any of this stuff, any of this sort of fiction or RPGs. But like, dear God, Beowulf's fucking awesome, man.
Oh yeah. I'm reminded of Grog from the Aborted Heroes game.
Yeah,
because he was literally the Grendelkin.
Yeah,
he was a sign of that line, and like I just have images of Beowulf showing up and going, "Oh, I fucking hate that guy. He's such a jerk."
I mean, Beowulf beat Grendel to death with his own goddamn arm.
Yes.
It's pretty hardcore. And I don't mean Beowulf's arm, I mean Grendel's arm.
Yeah, he tore Grendel's arm off and then beat him to death with it. Or at least beat him to the point where Grendel's like, fuck it, I'm going home, I'm going to bleed out on my couch.
So yeah, all of this is just lots of really interesting sources, and I wish I knew. Honestly, I wish I knew more about the Hindu pantheon, because I really think that would be.
I wish I knew more about like any of the Asian stuff. Honestly,
the Mesopotamian stuff, which is a lot of which got drawn into D&D.
Yep.
Tiamat, for example.
Just as an example.
There are a number of important figures in RPGs that are from like various Mesopotamian pantheons. You know, Tiamat, Bahamut. Uh,
Yep.
although he was more of a water thing, wasn't really a dragon.
Yeah, as opposed to
originally.
being a super dragon, right?
Um, Hoster. God,
Huster shows up a lot in horror stuff also.
I think Hoster is. Let me double check that. I might be misremembering it.
Wait a minute, isn't Hoster one of the Lovecraft Griblies?
Yeah, I'm misremembering. No, it's something similar to Hoster. Oh God, fuck. It's not Hoster. I'm thinking of someone who's. God damn it.
But yeah, I mean, just anything from the friggin' Epic of Gilgamesh,
Yeah.
like the Bull of Heaven and the big gribbly monster in the woods they fight, and whose name I can't remember because I can never remember its name or how to say the word remember.
Oh no, it wasn't. I'm thinking of someone else entirely. No, Dagon is one of them, but
Yes, okay.
yeah, I'm thinking one that gets linked with the. I was thinking one that gets linked with the Cthulhu mythos a lot, but isn't. Dagon, who's a god of fertility, actually. You know, and Marduk and
some of the stuff that survived the fall of Carthage, like Baal.
right,
And,
yeah, absolutely.
and Moloch.
Yep. Nergal,
Yep.
not Nurgle, Nergal. Although Nergal is also a god of plague, so you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they drew the name from. Honestly.
Oh, it is. Ereshkigal, you know, there's a the Mesopotamian deities just have a lot of really interesting stuff. A lot of interesting ones in there. And then a bunch of minor, like a gajillion minor deities, and
Yeah, well, remember, like the Romans even had like household gods and shit. So,
oh yeah,
like talk about a whole bunch of gods.
yeah, oh yeah, and like seriously, you can do some really interesting stuff with with you moving over to Japan with like there's a lot of sort of spirits that inhabit like items and such.
Oh yeah. Like the whole like animism thing is really big in Japanese mythology.
Yep.
And some in Chinese too, if I remember correctly.
Yep. I'm pretty sure about that too. I'm not again. I know the Chinese stuff much less than I know the Japanese, and I'm shaking on Japan. Like outside of like the really big ones, like Amaterasu, Susanoo, Raijin. I'm blanking on a few others, but yeah.
I know Raijin first from Mortal Kombat. Not gonna lie.
Was Raijin in Mortal Kombat?
Yep. He had the rice hat and he threw lightning bolts.
That wasn't Raijin. That was crap.
Sure, that wasn't Raijin. I could have sworn that was Raijin.
Fuck. I'm terrible at names.
Whatever. It shows how good my friggin' Chinese mythology is. Which is to say, terrible.
Raiden is not Raijin, but Raiden. Raiden. They
Raiden.
are
That's right. You're right.
technically different. I think they're technically different deities, but I'm not positive because I don't know Japanese mythology as well as I'd like to.
Right.
I believe Raiden is thunder and Raijin's is Raiden's lightning, Raijin's thunder, if I remember correctly. But I'm not positive.
I think you're right thinking about it because that they separated the two.
I think so, but I'm not positive. At any rate, like seriously, like all of that stuff. There's so much good stuff out there to draw on that I really, really, really recommend checking out. And like, dear God, the number of Japanese sort of mythological heroes that you could draw on too.
Oh yeah, like Masamune.
Masamune, yeah, Masamune.
Yep.
Just the just the like the swordsmiths, that the legendary swordsmiths, and
Yep.
so much stuff. So I think, I mean, we could almost dive into like picking a pantheon and like throw like directly examining how it could be used, but that would be another show, I think.
I think that's another show entirely.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't mind doing that at some point in the future. I think it'd be really interesting, but we need to do some research. Like, we could start with the Norse pantheon just to be easy on us. We wouldn't have to do nearly as much.
Yeah, we wouldn't have to do nearly as much reading.
Honestly, we could do that for next time. Like, interpreting the Norse pantheon into, I would say, like something else, interpreting into a pantheon, some sort of.
Mm.
And one of our friends, Kaz, in the chat mentions the Chinese. The thing with Chinese mythology is they often elevated a lot of like actual heroes and such to historical figures to actual godhood or sainthood at least.
Cool.
Which I'm certain that's happened for a bunch of other religions too. But yeah.
I mean, that's cool. I kind of knew that in the back of my head thinking about it, but certainly, yeah. I mostly didn't, honestly, which is, yeah, that's cool.
Right. At any rate, I think we're gonna wrap things up here. We've been going about a little bit more than an hour, and I think we should. I mean, we could blather on longer, but I think Eric probably needs to go get food and such. So
I do kind of need to go get food.
I kind of figured. So that's gonna do it for this week. We try to save time at the end of each episode for viewer questions. We got one or two of them, but we rambled on long, and also, it'd be nice to have more of them. So if you've got a question you'd like to answer us, or if you've emailed us a question before and we haven't answered us, feel free to resubmit it.
Yeah, seriously. We are terrible about it, but that does not mean we don't like getting them.
Yep, and I like talking about that on the show. It's just that we tend to ramble and tend to run long. So, But yeah, please, if you've got questions you'd like us to answer on the show, send them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com, or you can post them in the comment section on the recording on YouTube. If you've got feedback for us, constructive criticism, ways we can make the show better, we love getting that shit. Send it to us, please.
We really do.
If you've got show topic suggestions, oh God, do we love those. We don't really have many show topic suggestions in the bank. I thought we had more in the bank than we did.
I seem to remember we had a bunch, but I went looking. I was like, wait a minute. Maybe not.
Yeah, it turns out we've covered most of the ones I thought we had in the bank, or, they've come up during other conversations we've had in the show. So
yeah. I don't know.
So yeah, please send us show topic suggestions. We love those. So it means we can talk about stuff you guys want to hear about, and it means that we don't go, oh fuck, what the hell are we going to talk about 5 minutes before the show,
which we kind of do all the time anyway. But
yeah, and well,
at least then it's our fault for not bothering to check the bank.
Well, no, it's also, if we've got a topic that's there, we can spend time while I'm getting things ready to, figure shit out. Also, don't hesitate to send us stuff that might require research. We will do that when we actually sit down to look at stuff. We've done it in the past. We'll do it again in the future. For instance, if we decide to do a show about Dune, we'll probably, which someone suggested, we'll probably, reread the book and probably watch the Lynch movie.
Yeah. So that's an excellent adaptation. Cat milking and all.
It's got some interesting stuff in there. That's all I'm going to say for now. At any rate, so yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Did I forget anything? Oh yeah, we record the show Monday nights, most of them, at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern here on twitch.tv/MechaGM. if you want to listen to us live, keep it on my Twitter. My Twitter handle is @MechaGM because I tweet out when the show is going to be going live. The recordings go up on YouTube roughly within the next day or so after the recording. Thank you, everybody, for joining us if you're live, and if you listen to us on YouTube, thank you for listening to us there. If you listen anywhere you listen to us, we really appreciate it. I think next week's probably going to be 3 Men and Anime. We should be able to finish up the current show this weekend.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten most of the way through it.
That means I'm going to have to come up with a show.
Yes, it does, Eric. Haha. At any rate, that's going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you guys see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Bye.